It's okay.
You need a little table?
No, I'll hold my coffee. It's okay.
Because we can find a little table.
No, I don't want.
I think there's another one.
Oh, hey.
There we
Good
are.
morning.
All right,
Hey,
good morning.
morning. I survived the night.
Yay,
Yes,
we
yes,
did, we
yes, I
did.
did.
I went to sleep.
Oh,
Oh, well.
I did.
Lady Ashley went to sleep. I laid
How
on
was
the
your
couch.
slumber?
My slumber was very good. It was very short. I have this twitchy eye when I wake up in the morning. Have you heard of the stanky leg?
Yeah.
This is the sleepy eye.
Not the
No,
sleepy
I got
eye.
it. It's the sleepy eye. It's the sleepy eye.
The sleepy eye.
Oh, Lord. So, it's the morning time.
This morning,
Morning, we got the final six.
final six.
Final six.
We're at like what?
We're at $7,050.
All right.
So it's time for people to rev up, get ready, get to donating.
Yes.
Yes, and you know how you can donate?
There are a variety of ways. Let me get the sheet.
Okay, get the sheet.
All right.
You can go to stlouismetrotrans.com and click donate now. Or you can call 314-827-5383 and we'll take your pledge. Or you can text that number and we'll take your pledge. Or you go on the facebook.com, Metro Trans Umbrella Group, click donate. Those are the three easiest way. Or the fourth way, you just bring a check or cash down here to the Pride Center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have a live studio audience.
Mhm.
We're encouraging you all to come on out and participate and love on us. And I just want to hold up a human. Because
Okay.
all this fancy schmancy donation-y stuff, like computery things, are possible by a human being in this room.
Yes,
A human being who's on the quiet side of things.
very quiet.
Who is back over there behind some computer screens with the ear things and the hat on, our very own Tim Lumpkins. Yay, Tim!
Yeah, Tim, give some love to Tim. Yes, we love you. Yes.
The man behind this magic.
Yes.
I mean, it
Makes
really
the
is.
magic happen.
Yes.
Yes.
Back over there.
We
love you.
appreciate
We
you.
see you. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay. So, how y'all doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fantastic.
I'm ready for some sunshine. I think that'll help, like,
Perk everything up.
Yeah.
get everything
Yes,
going.
yes, yes. But
feel
you
a
know,
little
still.
balanced.
Even the sun's still asleep right now, they say. Or
Yes.
What does that tell you?
Whoosh.
But we know we did the yoga with Dan with the sun salutation, sunrise yoga.
Dan,
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, I watched Dan do it too. I was
I
like,
did a
you
stretch
go.
with my arms.
I did. I did. Okay. I did the one arm salute.
I appreciate that he did. He's
yes.
Very good at, very flexible human.
You're very flexible.
Yes.
Yes, it sounded very calming, very
Oh, it
soothing.
was everybody fell asleep out in the audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was lovely.
It was lovely. Yes.
Did he leave? Dan?
No, Dan's still here.
Oh. Well, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Dan.
He's over there on the sofa, resting on a big pillow.
It was lovely.
After all this stretching, I would need to rest too.
Yeah. I don't know that I could get back up, but.
No, like that position where you lay down on the mat, and they'd be like,
No, night.
the teacher would be like, they're like, what's that noise?
When you do, Dan, did you do child's pose?
Yeah, we did.
That's usually when I'm out. That's when it's over. That's when I'm snoring.
They're like, what's that snoring in the back? It's me, God. Because if I'm laid out, especially on my side, like that, out, O-U-T.
Well, and especially after a telethon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look, y'all. Okay, so favorite part, you have high. What was your favorite part so far?
Ooh.
Karaoke for me.
Oh my gosh, that was so much
Karaoke
fun
was
to
so
listen and
great.
That
watch.
was fun.
It was a variety of different songs.
That
It was
was
a variety
silly.
of different people, and we just got out there. We had a good time. The thing about karaoke is it doesn't matter if you can sing. It doesn't matter if you can't sing. It just matters if you bring your all and you're entertaining, and that's what I like about it.
Yes.
For sure.
My favorite part didn't actually happen it happened while you were over here getting ready to do the very first interview with Jill All.
Yes.
And your Sharona
Sharona, my
was over there
partner,
just beaming and looking at you with so much love and pride. It made me tear up for a second. And you know, for something to make this old dead cold heart tear up, it was just her looking at you accomplish a dream. And 4 weeks ago, we just started with, hey, I got this idea to fruition. And the way she looked at you so lovingly just really touched me. And that's my best part so far.
That's so sweet.
And what's your best part so far?
Well, God, that's my best part because that's lovely. That there's so many little parts well, now I'm all.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get
That
you.
was lovely. It's
It was
lovely. I
lovely.
mean, told space for the only reason that I'm able to do this work is because when I came out, my partner said there is nothing that is not negotiable in our life, and I love you, and I'm going to pick up this torch, and she has not put it down.
Right.
And I have that nest that I go home to so that I can do this work.
And I also love how Lyric was all in with the tuxedo.
Totally down.
Oh, totally. I said, Lyric, why you got a tuxedo? It's a telethon.
I know.
Yes.
That little human.
Yes.
I am a fortunate soul to have such a beautiful, loving family that has got my back so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Gratitude.
Yes.
Morning gratitude.
Morning gratitude.
Attitude of gratitude.
Attitude of gratitude. Where's a
Cheers
cup
to
of
family,
coffee?
loving you,
Yes.
you know.
This coffee is good.
It's Red Bull.
Yeah. This is some Krista Cunningham coffee right here. I can tell you. Kicks you where you oof. Oh.
Tastes terrible, but I know it.
Is it
It's Red Bull.
it's the speaking of Red Bull,
Oh.
did you have your first Red Bull?
No, I did not.
Oh.
Oh, okay, because you said you would have your first one.
Maybe, just maybe, if we reach that $10,000 mark, I will chug a Red Bull.
Oh, okay.
The
What?
phone should be blowing up
You will
now.
see me get wings and I will fly out of here.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't believe you never had a Red Bull before.
No.
Several.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the burlesque. It's lovely. I always
That was-
love the burlesque. Summer Osborne brought it.
Yes.
The singing in the whole telethon thus far has just been really phenomenal.
Yes. And the discovery of acts I'd never heard before.
Yes.
And going, oh my God, those humans make that music, and I'd never heard them or even knew about them.
Yep.
And I even though I pronounced her name wrong,
Oh.
but Paige Alyssa,
Oh,
she was
so good.
because out there I was talking to her, they were so shy and didn't really say anything.
No,
And
I
then
know.
once that music started and that voice came out, and speaking of the voice, the girl that sang, not Kelsey, the other, she said she lived in South St. Louis, bleach blonde hair.
Yes.
Um,
Works at Friendly's.
works at
Who
Friendly's.
is that human?
What is that human's
Give us
name?
her
I'm so
name.
Ellie. No, I'm so bad with names. I've been
We
up.
love you.
Yes.
Yes.
When she opened that mouth
Yes.
and that voice came out of
I
that little
know.
tiny body, it was amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think the great thing about this is so many people in our community and outside of our community who have been watching this have new talents and new acts that they can follow that they can
Yes.
relate to on a personal level. So you can go and say, hey, I like Andrew Beat. Let's pull their music
Ah.
up on SoundCloud.
Fantastic.
What?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
what you can do.
Yep.
Yes, and it's just the amazing talent that Kristen Goodman was able to find and bring, and untapped talent that some of us knew existed, some of us didn't, and it was just that talent that opened my eyes and go, wow, we got some talented humans in this community.
We're a talented city, y'all.
Yes,
Yep.
Watch
yes.
out.
All right. So let's do the spiel as to why we're here, what we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Coffee talk.
Yeah.
We're here to build power for transgender adults in the metro region,
Mm-hmm.
provide social emotional support, and expand capacity
Yes.
for the Metro Trans Umbrella Group. Yeah.
Because the office that we are currently in
Yep.
is no longer adequate.
It's not.
We've outgrown it.
We have.
We flexed muscles, and now we feel like the Incredible Hulk, all
Yes.
bulked up in there. And we're ripping out
Well,
ripping out the
know.
seams of our clothes. So we need to build capacity. We need a bigger space.
We need
Yes.
a bigger space and
Yes.
a space that's accessible
Yes.
for people who may not be able to go downstairs because it is an office that's downstairs. Breathable. I would
Breathable.
say.
It's moldy.
Yeah, it's breathable.
Our
It's
office
moldy.
space
It's
is
in the
very
basement. Moldy.
Yeah.
Yes, you need some windows. We can open up some windows and get some fresh air in
We
there.
don't have windows.
They're not appropriate. It's just not. It's not the appropriate. It's been fantastic. There was such joy in having a space,
Yes.
and having an address,
Yes.
having a board meeting space. Fantastic. And we're 5 years in, and it's
Okay.
time to move on.
In my world, we call that dank.
No,
Dang.
Dang.
That's
Yeah.
the word I'm going to start using.
Okay.
all
Dank.
over
It's
the
very
place.
dank.
Yeah.
Dank.
Yeah.
hmm
It is.
So, but that was a start. It's a start.
It's a
Every
start.
organization has to start
That's
somewhere.
right. That's
you
right.
know. So
Proud
that's good.
of the beginnings.
And we need the money to help fund and support and get humans to our 6 support groups.
Right.
Yeah, because we have QT Park,
Yep.
we have the locker room,
Yep.
we have FemSpec, we have Orchid, we have Expression Spectrum. I went through those real quick, but I can't remember the last one.
we have
Our private support
And our private support, our mental health support group that we have. So we have 6 wonderful support groups for humans to come through, and with all our 6 support groups, we help about 100 to 125 adults.
That's a lot.
And that's a lot. And
Lot of folks.
and we got folks that need bus passes.
Yep.
We have folks that just need some outreach and some care and some love. And that and that's we're here to engage them
Yeah.
and empower them and show that we love them and we see them.
Yeah. We also talked about kind of like the wait list that we have for people who would like to change their names to help them be their more authentic selves.
Yeah.
Sarah, would you like to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so right after the election, Tim over there, who we just cheered a few minutes ago, Tim, started a fundraising campaign with the intention of supporting people and having scholarships for their name change. But what we decided as a scholarship is we would pay your St. Louis City court costs, which totals to be about $130.
Okay.
We ended up being able to help 40 people do that. Now we have about 40 people in the queue that we went, sorry, being distracted over in the corner. Yep. And so we have about 40 people in the queue that need the name change, and we need to rebuild that. So we need $3,000 to put back in there to get some more folks their name change. And I'm sure that once we open that queue, we're going to need to replenish that as well. Having your documentation match your presentation is vital to getting a job, to having health care that is affirming, all the things. It's important.
Speaking of raising money,
Yeah.
like we did for the name changes, thanks to Tim, can we talk about some other things that we've raised money for with the Metro Trans Umbrella Group outside of raising money for ourselves for this telethon?
What?
Yes.
Yes.
We had the awesome opportunity earlier in the night to meet a wonderful young lady named Rabanse, who we helped raise over $1,000 for to help her have her perfect prom and to also pay off the rest of her high school dues so she could graduate. We also
Yes.
raised money, almost $20,000 for Kiwi Herring's family,
Yes.
a trans woman of color here in St. Louis who unfortunately lost her life too soon. And we're able to support her family, meet her beautiful children, provide them with some school supplies as well, which was very touching.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We spread it around, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We help our folks, and
We had this money we reused last year. We some of the things we accomplished. We had a kick behind Big Fat Queer Prom.
Yes.
Yes, it was so successful that we followed that up with a Big Fat Fall Queer Festival.
It was so fun.
It was lots of fun. Both of them were outstanding.
And the feedback we got is that a lot of our folks, though the social emotional support groups are vital and important, folks just want to go have some fun in queer and trans-centered spaces that we make intentional and that are safer. I think one of the really one of the positive feedbacks we got from both of those events was our calm and quiet corner, and it being intentional about making sure that it was a sensory integrated area so that folks who maybe weren't as comfortable in a full sensory environment had a place that they could be
Right.
in community
Yeah.
and in the capacity that they felt comfortable
Because
in.
sometimes people they come out and then sometimes they find it a little overwhelming, you
For
know.
sure.
And we welcome them to come, but
Yes.
if you come and you feel a little overwhelmed, we got a little space for you to go over there and be calm, and that's one of the things we do at support groups too. We color, we talk,
Yeah.
we drdraw. Those things are important, and those 2 events were highly successful. I can't wait for them to come in 2018.
For sure. What about the Transgender Memorial Garden?
Yes.
Yep. Our nation's only Transgender Memorial Garden.
Yes.
Second in the world.
Second in the world. We're going to tour it this morning.
Yes.
Eric's going to meet over there and tour it around the 8:30-ish
Okay.
hour and talk about the history. And that's a beautiful space.
It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
we put work and grit and teamwork into that garden, like digging up grass and rocks and laying down mulch and planting trees. It was truly a community effort that ended up being something very beautiful. And much like the garden, I think some people truly do say, they tried to bury us, but they didn't know that we were seeds.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was October 18th. 60 of us got out there with pickaxes and shovels, and we dug and we hit concrete.
We did.
But we kept going.
That's right.
And we took the concrete that we dug up and we made a path, and in the middle of the path we made a big circle, and we took all that rock and we made a little monument there.
Yes.
Because, you know, that's the heartbeat of the
That's right.
garden. It's right there. So it is beautiful in the springtime, in the summer, when everything's in full bloom. It is absolutely breathtaking. And there's benches around where people can sit. People tell me they go there sometimes to eat their lunch. A person I work with said, you know, she drives by sometimes and she'll stop with her lunch and just go in the garden and sit and eat her lunch.
That's sweet.
Very peaceful.
You know, and that's sweet. That's what, you know, I wanted the garden to be a place of beauty, and out of all the tragedies, something beautiful should come. Like you said, you thought they could bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds.
That's right.
So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
and that's the thing, right? Like, as trans, non-binary, intersex humans, we hit concrete with our pickaxe when we were expecting dirt, and what do? We keep hitting at that concrete.
Right.
And we break it into bits, and we make something beautiful.
Yes.
Yes, because
And
we
we-
are resilient.
Yes.
This
Resilience is
community.
beautiful.
Yes.
Yes, resilience
Yes.
is beautiful.
Yes, sorry, we gotta clap. Yes,
Yes.
for resiliency.
Resiliency.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay. Speaking of resiliency, maybe this is a good segue to bring on our guest for Coffee Talk
For coffee talk.
/ Trans
Am.
Am. Trans
Trans
Am.
AM.
Trans AM. Trans
Take another little
AM.
sip of this. Mary, will you come on over and join us in the Coffee Talk clutch? Do you need a coffee to talk?
I would love some more coffee.
Oh, can we get a coffee? Thank
Good
you.
morning.
Do you want when your
Hand
coffee,
Mary the
what you-
microphone.
Oh, yeah. I'm not, thank you. Was I muffled? Okay, thank you. We're gonna do that. Thank you. Okay, so, will you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Mary Waters, and I am, among other things, one of the live-in volunteers at Karen House, which is a Catholic worker shelter in North St. Louis City. We house women, children, transgender folk, and I also, you know, you might catch me around at some events, or just graduated from SLU and living my life.
Right on. SLU is a sponsor of ours too.
Yes,
so
SLU
feeling the
is.
SLU love.
Communications
Yeah.
department.
Yes, Luke Community. I raise a
SLU,
mug
give
to
a-
you. Yes, I raise a
you.
mug.
We're like a commercial now, right?
Yeah.
For SLU. But I mean, it's all about the people giving what they can to help us make what we're doing. And so that's what Karen's House is doing for the transgender community, is they're intentionally engaging us. And do you know how that came to be? How Karen's House came to be a place that one of the only places in the entire city that is trans affirming, not tolerant, trans affirming.
Well, so that sort of, it started before my time, so you might need to help me fill in some of the gaps. But we just, so our, you know, when I say Catholic worker, most people think like, oh my gosh, it's like such a conservative sounding thing, right? But I like to joke that I'm actually the most Catholic thing about the place. Like,
Your coffee for your talk.
oh,
There you go.
awesome. Thank you.
Hopefully you like it like that.
Thanks. We're really focused on bringing hospitality to everybody in need, and bringing it in a personal way. And, you know, the trans community here really, there are lots of resources for sure, but there are also lots and lots of gaps.
Yes. Yes.
And we, you know, Karen House realized that there was a gap for trans people because so many shelters are divided into men's and women's shelters. And if you're not trans affirming, then, you know, you might try and stick a trans woman in a men's shelter or a trans man in a woman's shelter. And that's just beyond just, you know, how, beyond the dissonance of being a woman in a man's space or a man in a woman's space. There are also like just some very concrete issues of like safety, of services, of staff being able to help you out that other shelters can't necessarily, that you can't, the needs that you can't meet if your shelter isn't prepared to actually embrace trans people with open arms. And so we decided that we wanted to step in to fill that gap. And so we, for the majority of our history, we'd only accepted women and children. So opening that up to trans women was not super hard, but we also accept trans men and non-binary people.
Good.
So we just, we want to be a place where people can come and be treated as the unique individuals that they are, and receive the love and the services that they need.
And I think one thing that I saw that I really do appreciate with Karen's House is you put in the effort to provide cultural competency training through the Metro Trans Umbrella Group's Trans 101 trainings, not only for yourselves, but also for the members of Karen House, the people who stay there, which I think is very, very amazing to bring everybody into that learning experience to try to create cultural competency and acceptance and tolerance for trans folks who are going to be in that environment. So
Yeah, and there is a real learning curve for for a lot of our residents. Like the trans people that they live with are the first trans people they've ever met. So that sort of education is important to making sure that like everybody understands each other and treats each other with the respect that they need. Yeah.
It's amazing, and it's a gift to our community. And I love the model that you all live in community together. Like that's what really like resonates with me, I think, as an organizer and as a person who has a passion for making sure that our folks have that basic need met. Because, like through a side project that I'm do with the Trans Queer Flat, just getting folks that a place to sleep that is not just a place to sleep, an affirming, loving environment where you're lifted up. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, we like to think of ourselves as a big family house, and when you're here, you're a guest, and we treat all our guests like family too. So
Yeah,
it's amazing.
love it. Love the model. Do you have your statistics, W? What's the statistic on homelessness nationally?
The statistics is that 47% of trans people will find themselves homeless during their lifetime. So it is Karen's House does a wonderful service to make sure that doesn't happen. So, yeah.
So are there any other resources that Karen House provides that you'd like to share with us?
Well, we also have, so we do provide food to the neighborhood. Daily, we just open our doors for people to come by, grab toiletries, grab sandwiches, but we also do have open meals. Every Sunday morning, we have a big brunch, which is a big hit in the neighborhood, and often draws like 50 people from around the neighborhood. And then we're also we had an open meal this past Thanksgiving, and we're going to have one on Christmas Eve at 6:30. So, yeah, and we also, we try and do, activism and outreach when we can. There's only 3 of us in the sort of core community right now, so honestly, a lot of our work is focused inward right now, but we have done our best to try and reach out as well. We've worked, we've done some work in the wake of Isaiah Hammett's murder with Gina Torres and her family. And we also, not to the extent that we'd like, but we were also there for Kiwi Herring and her family as well. So, yeah.
3 core people, but tiny but mighty is like what I would like to say about that. Tiny but mighty and holding it down. So good for you.
Yes. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll have 2 more things with you. One, and then we'd love for you just to banter with us if we could. We're going to switch gears. But one, how can we support Karen's House?
So we are often in need of. So right now there are 9 kids at the house.
Wow.
And so
What's the age range of the young humans?
all the way from 1 to 14.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, a little bit.
So, And so even though we have a lot of generous donors who do their best to make sure that we are well fed, including Trader Joe's, who donates a regular weekly
That's awesome.
grocery run to us, we're still always in need of food, especially dairy products with 9 kids.
Oh my gosh.
We also, as the weather starts to turn, we could really use donations of like scarves, hats, coats, hand warmers, anything that we can help give out to the rest of the neighborhood to help keep people warm. And anybody who wants to volunteer their time and their talent, there are lots of ways to plug in. So, give us a call if you're interested, and we can find a way for you to get involved.
You all have a Facebook presence?
Yes.
Maybe we could share their Facebook page on our Facebook page during this. Our Tim, and thank you, Tim. Maybe yes. Can somebody get me one of the prints over here? Thank you. We have a token of appreciation that we're presenting to some of the healers and the trailblazers and the advocates in our community, and we want to give it to you to hang in Karen's house as a gesture of solidarity and loving. It's a commission print that we had done by a local trans artist, and your support is vital for our liberation, right?
That's fantastic.
Right on.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we appreciate the partnership, and we want to love each other and take care of our own. And so, I just holding up Karen's house this morning, right? Like, cheers to Karen's house. And the work you do,
Cheers.
right?
Cheers.
Yes.
Here.
Yes. I say but I'm really like, whoosh. But I feel it going down my
Crystal likes that coffee
arms.
strong. Like, oh.
I'll feel it going down my arms too if we make it to that $10,000 mark, and I'll
Come
chug
on,
that
come
Red Bull
on.
for you. That's something to look forward to.
Chug.
Here's to Ashley. She's a. Here's to Ashley.
Yay, okay.
I read her back to my college days.
So what's going on in the world? What are we going to talk about, y'all? We've talked a lot about MTUG, and we just talked about Karen's house.
Yeah.
What about maybe broader than that? Like, what's going on in Tower Grove? What's going on in
Let's see.
the Grove?
The Grove. What's happening in the
What's
Grove?
happening?
I've been so busy lately. I haven't had time to venture.
MTUG.
It's just, well, and just humans in need.
I know.
Humans in need, and sometimes, I admit I've been a partier, and
In your life?
in my life,
Yes.
and oblivious to the community.
Sure.
But sometimes in the last month, it's been humans in need.
Yeah.
And so I really haven't been keeping up with the, with
The dramas.
because I'm at that certain age when I got no time for drama. Drama is unnecessary.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I mean, come on, we've got other fish to fry.
We
and
do.
bigger.
What does
bigger.
Prince say? Act your age, not
Not
your
your
shoe
shoe
size.
size.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just like, I'm like, I just don't have time for drama, and I just don't know, other than, the little Facebook meow cat fights, stuff like that,
Yeah, those are always.
But nothing's
around.
really, celebrities wanting to raise their kids gender neutral. That's a big thing now.
Yeah.
That's trending on Facebook because Pink is raising her children gender neutral. Another singer says she's raising her kids gender neutral.
Right
so,
on. Yeah.
And then France, they're in a big fight about making their language
Yep.
gender neutral because I don't speak French. I barely speak English. So, so they're trying to make, I guess French has a lot of masculine, feminine
Okay.
words, so they're trying to make those words gender neutral. So,
Interesting.
That's amazing. I think that's a huge step forward to be more inclusive of everybody. So good for you, France.
yes.
Yeah.
Like in your language.
In your language. But some people are fighting it,
Of
What do
course.
we call fussies? The fussies are.
We are a fussy species, aren't
Yes,
we?
so some people are fighting that, but I think it's a good thing, and they should go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of some other things, Australia.
What? Yes.
Yes, Australia. Let's give it up for
Down
Australia.
under, come on.
Yes.
There you go.
Equality.
Yes.
Yes,
Good for
finally,
them.
marriage equality in Australia.
Yes.
That's one of the big things.
Be a delightful visit.
Yes,
to
but
go to
it
Australia.
actually shocked me that Australia didn't have marriage equality
I know. I
already.
thought they were on the liberal end of the.
Well, I thought too, because they were one of the first countries to allow people that are intersex to donate that. I mean, to put an X on your driver's license or your birth certificates or whatever to identify intersex people. So when I found out Australia had just, legalized same-sex marriage, I was like, what? I thought they had it already. I thought,
Right.
Australia was on the forefront of everything. But we beat, the United States finally beat them at something. And let's see, there's Germany is now allowing third genders on birth certificates.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, so that just happened. Unfortunately, we still have some states here that don't allow gender markers to be changed on birth
Right.
certificates, and unfortunately, I was born in one of those states.
Right.
And I was all excited. I said, there's 4 states here that you can get your gender marker changed, and there's I thought, I can finally get intersex on my birth certificate, but nope, I was born in Kansas, and Kansas is one of those states that under no circumstance
No
will they change your
intersex.
gender marker. So,
Wow.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Missouri, you can get your gender marker changed, can't you? But it's a very difficult process, right?
I believe it's the surgery stipulation, right?
Oh,
And so it's expensive.
Yes.
And it's
So
not,
in Missouri, you can't get your gender marker changed unless you have completed surgery.
yeah.
Yeah, which you need to.
That's leaving out a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we should maybe need to start fighting that or registering our people to vote, to vote in legislatures who will pass that,
Right.
so that you can get your gender marker changed without having to have surgery.
Sure.
So that's why every vote is important. That's why it's important for our people in our community to get out and register to vote. And I know there's some obstacles.
Yep.
So what we should do is we need to educate people on what those, what identification is needed. Because, you can have a gas bill in your name, or you can have something else in your name that will allow you to go ahead and get registered yourself to vote and allow you to vote when you have voter identification. But the first step is to get everyone registered to vote.
And
So-
with that comes along knowledge and advocacy
Yes.
for voting. So we have to have people out there in our community who are canvassing, who are going out and talking to people about the importance of voting and how it can influence their lives, and not only their lives, but the people around them and the community.
Right. Because we see what happens when people don't vote.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, we see what we got in the White
St.
House.
Louis, we see you.
Yeah,
We love you, but
we see you. And Washington, we see you. We don't love you, but we see you. So, but, and I hate when people say my vote doesn't count. Yes, your vote
Yes,
does.
every vote counts.
vote counts.
Most definitely.
So maybe that's one of the things that we can work on this year, is getting
Yeah.
people registered to vote.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we also need to get people to run for office.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. That's
Danica
right.
Rame winning in Virginia, like anything's possible, right?
Yes, it is.
And we need more people like her who really, not just people who are like neoliberal and like support our cause, but who like really, get the trans experience. We need them in the room making these decisions.
Yeah, and I'm so
So-
proud to say that we had like a hometown hero with Philippe Cunningham going in and winning for his district. That was absolutely
Yes.
amazing to be like, I know you and you're making a difference. Shout out to Philippe. How you
Yay.
doing?
How you doing, Felipe?
Congratulations.
Yes. There were 7
Yeah.
trans, intersex, and Gen Z people elected to different public offices on that. Like, that's very good. It's progress.
It's amazing.
Progress, like you said, we had to have people run.
Yeah.
We had the people get out and vote. So those are very important.
This liberation movement, y'all, that we're all partaking in and working towards. It's happening at such a beautifully rapid pace. I mean, just 10 years ago, the scope was very different. And so it's both exhilarating and hopeful and frightening and sad, right?
Yes.
All the things. And so I say it's a exciting, and it's a beautiful time to be a transgender, gender non-binary, intersex human being right now. And it's, when we're old and grayer, in my case, being able to look back on having played a part in liberation, like that's No, there's something to be said about that. I mean, I remember talking with Sharona 15 years ago when we first started having babies, or 17 years ago at this point, and saying, you know, I hope our kids are sitting around talking to their friends. Remember when our parents couldn't get married? And, you know, that is the case now. And they didn't even have to wait until they were like in their 30s to say, I remember my parents couldn't get married, you know? Like, it's just, things are changing in beautiful ways and in brutal ways. And so it's just kind of an exciting time to be part of this big old LGBTQIA community.
Yes, it is. I know, y'all. I need some more coffee.
I know, I am bragging.
I need some.
I see the sun coming up. Thank you, sun.
Oh, it's the sun. Hey, here's the sun.
They're
Yay.
salutating
The sun
us.
salutation. Hey, yes.
I think that will help with the balance.
No, it's a
Because I'm like,
Once the sun comes up,
we're good.
we're gonna crank out the last 5.
That vitamin D is what
Yes,
I need
yes.
for my
The
life.
last 5.
So I think something that we can also talk about is like the importance of allyship, and it's
Yes.
something recently
Absolutely.
that happened here in St. Louis.
Do
that
it.
Came just about. I wouldn't say randomly, but based on some things that have happened in the news and in society. We had a transphobic comedian who was scheduled to perform here in St. Louis. After an interview with Janet Mock on The Breakfast Club, a comedian named Lil Duval came on the show and made some pretty inappropriate comments about killing trans women. And when I found out that Lil Duval was coming to St. Louis, I thought this is something that can't happen. So as a result of that, I published an op-ed of why trans lives matter and why it's important to uphold trans lives, and how I felt that it was at utmost importance that someone who said those things would not come to a city where we have such a large, loving trans community, and most recently where we had 2 trans women lose their lives who were murdered. So it actually turned into a wonderful campaign full of community effort. Diana joined in after the op-ed and started kind of like a social media revolution, getting everybody together. The venue that was holding the event was called. The owners were called.
The owner of the Loop was
The
called.
owner of the Loop was called. The owner of, can we name drop?
I see one. Well, you know, I'll tell you who, because we first started with Orlando Watson. We started there. Then we, I can't remember the name of, it was 2 entertainment groups. I had my friends and allies, and I rallied up my gay boys, and I said, come on. We were there when you wanted marriage equality. We cannot have this. So I have to say, I am so proud of the St. Louis community. They got together, they called, they wrote, they went by, they did the pageant. They called, Orlando Watson, his Facebook page was loaded with a whole bunch of comments. So they said, hey, we need to talk to you. Because you're blowing up her page. And every time they would go in and delete a comment, I would go and put it back on, you know, because you're not going to, So the page was filled, and then everybody started going to their entertainment page and giving them a 1 rating, so their ratings went down, and they were like, okay, we need to have a conversation with you. So I said, okay. So I said, Lady Ashley, we got a meeting, come on, let's go. So we went to the meeting, and we told our stories, and we got kind of emotional in the stories.
I think everybody got a little
Yes.
bit emotional when you kind of find out what's happening in the community. If it's something that you didn't know about, you really know that someone has to have a heart to take into consideration what you're saying. And I do believe that Orlando is an amazing
wonderful,
person with
wonderful.
a good soul, and was able to see how important this was not to bring Lil Duval to St. Louis. And in the end, we were able to have that show canceled.
Yes, shut it down with
just-
Crystal Lou Cunningham was
Yeah,
there.
was there too
Yes.
as well. Was down with us.
Yes.
And I say all of this to just bring to light that anything is possible. When you have the support of not only your community but allies who are working together, it is so easy to say that transphobia is not acceptable. To make comments about murdering people is not acceptable. And I would persuade anybody who is thinking about doing the same thing to reach out to us, because I know that this comedian, Lil Duval, will be coming to Detroit soon. And I know there's a large trans community in Detroit as well. So I think it would be great to work on showing people that this is just not acceptable throughout the United States or in the world.
Right.
So go take a stand, do what you need to do to let these people know that it's not okay to say these things and make these comments.
And we had a lot of naysayers. People were like, "Oh, y'all never get the show canceled." And I said, "Y'all don't know
What we can do.
what we can do." Yes, y'all do not know. And then I got the text about 7:30, but I was in a support meeting and I didn't look at my phone till I got home. So the text was, "We have canceled the show, but please don't say anything until after 10 o'clock tomorrow." Well, you know, I can't keep anything like an old refrigerator. I had to turn my phone off. I had to go to bed because I wanted to tell people. But I
Tape it
thought,
shut.
that's right. I thought, well, that's the right thing to do. Let them be the person, you know. And it was wonderful. And I have to say, we had the backing of a very prominent music editor in this city, and he was behind the scenes and he helped us a lot. And he said, "Hey, they're not joking."
Yeah.
And
And I want to also, I'm sorry, go ahead.
okay, no.
No, I also wanted to give a shout out to Boom Magazine for being the first to publish that op-ed. I see Colin here in the office.
Boom's in the
Boom's
house.
in the house.
So thank
Speaking of
you so
allyship,
much.
right?
Yeah,
Yes.
most definitely. For
And
giving
using
us
your
that platform.
platform.
Yeah.
Yep, to lift up transgender narrative and always.
Yes.
Colin. Let's do it.
Yes,
Come on.
yes.
Give it to Boom, Colin. Thank you.
And one last thing about the Little Duval is that it showed how the St. Louis community can come together. You know,
That's right.
we've always been saying the only time we come together are times of tragedy. You know, I said, why can't we come together when there's a cause to fight for? And St. Louis, y'all showed up and show out. I'm not gonna lie, y'all took it further than
To another level.
took it to another level. I mean, when I asked my friends, you know, just call, right? Don't let this happen. They took the ball and they ran with it, and it blew up more than I thought it would ever do. But it was something that, you know, cannot happen.
No.
We cannot let that transphobia in our city, in our stages, and a place like the Pageant, who has a long history of supporting the LGBTQI community, because I performed on that stage, I've hosted shows there, and I was like, hey, no.
We're a
no.
community.
We're a community.
And we support you, so we
Yes.
need you to support us. And it's important to hold people and companies and even institutions accountable for their actions.
Right. And then when it came time, Orlando said, hey, I need some help supporting the Lil' Kim show. We supported him because he kept his word and canceled the show. He said that was one of the most successful shows he had. So, you know, we
Just giving it some love.
just give him some
Yeah.
love.
Right on.
Yes. So thank you, St. Louis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank y'all, Lady Ashley, leading the charge, using your platforms to get shit, oops, stuff. Sorry, Facebook. Stuff shut down. See, I'm tired now.
Right.
Okay, no cussing.
And I can't
no
tell you
cussing. I need a
what they
rubber
called
band.
Lady Ashley, Krista, and myself. We got a little nickname on Facebook.
Oh.
Yeah.
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 Oh.
Yeah.
It's a naughty nickname.
It's a naughty nickname, but it is
Ouch.
so worth it.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah,
Dang.
most definitely. But if anybody needs help or needs advice, maybe like a little mini tutorial or what they can do to help stop things like this happening in the future, reach out to us. We'll be happy to talk
Yes,
to you.
yes. Because you cannot let transphobia come to your town. That's not tolerated. So, yes.
Not
So
acceptable.
that's one of the accomplishments we did in 2017.
Right on. Yeah.
So we're very proud of that.
Heck yeah.
Yes. I don't think Little Duval got the hint when we got up on his face.
No.
Whatever.
Look at in Detroit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Little Duval, we see
we
you.
see you.
Oh, the whole audience went, That was great. Thank you. Oh.
Have we had any donations come in during this time? Can anybody give us a
Oh, we're
hey,
7,100?
who gave us the $50 donation? We're gonna call their name and thank them out.
Their first name and their last initial.
That human sitting over there.
Oh. Dan S.
Yay, Dan! Thank you, Dan. $50 and yoga. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
The gifts.
The gifts just keep on coming.
So the gifts.
The gifts.
The way that you can contribute.
Is Go to our website, stlmetrotrans.com, click Donate Now, or you call 314-287-5383 and call in your pledge, or you text your pledge. We'll take it either way. Or go to facebook.com, Metro Trans Umbrella Group, and click Donate. So those are the 3 ways you can donate. Or if you're on your way to church or walking the dog or going to get some donuts,
Right.
you can stop by and bring a checker
Bring
cash
some extra
Yeah.
and give
donuts.
it right
Come
to,
on.
right.
Yeah.
Bring some extra.
Yeah.
Yes.
We know you have those church tithes. So if you want to split them up between church and the Metro Trans Umbrella Group, we would be happy to accept
Right.
that from
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Could you bring it,
Absolutely.
if you're on your way to church, you bring a donation, I'll lay my hands on you.
Yes, good.
We'll lay hands.
you. In a
we
nice
go.
way.
In a nice way. In a nice
In an
way.
appropriate and consensual way.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, in an appropriate
Yes.
consensual way,
Yes.
yes.
We'll ask first.
Our laying hands will be a handshake.
Yes.
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 Yes. So yes, it's just, if you're out and about, please stop by. Bring donuts.
Bagels.
Donuts.
Gluten-free goodies.
Really just breakfast.
Yeah.
Breakfast. Can you put some scrambled eggs and bacon up
You
in a
can't
container?
just drink the Red Bull for breakfast.
This is tar.
Sayer's going to be bouncing off the walls.
Maybe.
This is good
Yeah.
though.
More than regular.
What else is going on in the world we can talk about?
That sound effect was great.
Whoa, yeah, yeah, woo-ah,
Tastes like
yes.
cough syrup.
So I take you must like your coffee on the weaker side.
This is Red Bull.
Sayer,
not
I went to
coffee,
get
it's Red Bull.
coffee for Sayer earlier. I was gonna say today, but that was actually yesterday. And I said, Sayer, what type of coffee do you want? And he said, get me the sweetest thing possible. So that's what we did. That's what we did. Sugar, sugar, sugar.
That's how I like my coffee too.
Sweet, sweet.
Sometimes I drink my coffee black, depends on how I need to kick it off in the morning.
yeah.
Because sometimes I drink a cup of coffee and a Red Bull.
Oh,
Because I need to,
dang.
I know in my job,
You gotta
I need
kick
to,
it.
I gotta go from 0 to 60.
Is
and like,
there a name for that? I think there's a name for coffee and Red Bull together.
Oh.
Does anybody know what that
It's
is?
like a fancy-
Like a, I don't know, but I think I've heard of it before. It sounds horrible. I've also heard of coffee and Coca-Cola.
I've done that too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, I've
Like
done
mixed
that.
together or just
No,
back
no.
to back?
You have double fist.
Okay.
Cup of coffee,
I could do that probably.
black coffee, and a Red Bull, and you just do,
no, I
or you finish one and you just do the other one. Or sometimes it's what I do is I will chug the Red Bull and then sip the coffee.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Pinkies up?
Oh, sure, pinkies up. Yes.
Well, you are more hardcore than I am, even with the pinkies up, I should say.
Yes, I know. I love a good cup of coffee.
Okay. All right.
And you know where you can get your good cup of coffee?
Where you get a cookie,
You can get a cup of coffee right here at the Pride Center.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But we're not going to have Krista make it this time. Yes. So please come out and join us. We're going to we're here till noon. And then if you're not doing anything, and you people out there that like to clean, come on here at noon.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have to clean this whole place up, put it back in order. We have moved stuff.
We have made a mess.
Yeah. Well, not because Landon's probably watching.
Oh,
me
not
on
a
video.
mess.
Not a
It- we
mess.
just-
Because you know,
we have a
Landon,
lot of
they will
things.
freak out. They'll be on the texting me. What do you? I'm like, yum 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 yum.
Meow meow. We
All
just
the
have
posters of how it
a lot
needs to
of
be.
things to break down.
Yes.
It probably would be a
Yes.
better way.
Break down and put sofas back. And,
Yes.
you know, put things. You know, reconnect computers. Stuff like that.
Gently put back the
Gently put back.
fantastic equipment that St. Louis University
Yes.
Communications
Allowed us.
department.
Yes.
Communications
Yes.
Yes.
allowed us to use to make this fancy production number, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Slew.
Yes, thank you.
Again, we
Yes.
see you.
We see you. We appreciate you because we thought it's going to be one
Couple of-
floodlight and a camera phone.
Yeah.
Like this the whole time. Nope.
Yes.
We are fancy.
Like this for like a sound stage.
right.
And
Yes.
these curtains that Alex put
I know.
together, isn't that
Yeah.
amazing? That
Gorgeous.
backdrop?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're
And the
fancy.
thermometer.
And the
Thermometer.
thermometer.
Yes.
And this is all community effort. This just shows you what happens when community comes together, when they have an idea, when one person, a visionary, like Sayer Johnson, has an idea and everybody comes together and says, hey, we can make this happen. So you see us doing this. This is something that you can do too if you put your heart, if you put your mind into it. Anything is possible. Anything is possible, including $10,000.
No
Yes.
kidding.
Yes. It's going to be
Yes.
possible. Yes. Because remember when Sayer came to us with this idea and Sarah says, Diana, I need you to do something. I was like, huh? He's like, I want to have a telethon. And I want you to be part of it. But the problem is we have 4 weeks to put it on. So I need you to do this. It didn't give me time to say no, react. So I need to do this, and this.
Right.
Okay, and we're having a meeting tomorrow at noon at the Pride Center.
And we're having a meeting every week at noon at the Pride
Right,
Center
Center.
after that. I think the look on my face is like, oh.
We was like, oh, okay. All right.
And here we are.
And here we are, yes, here we are. And I learned a lot about Sayer and how he has to have everything laid out on a wall visually. And I'm like, Sayer, it's right here in Sheets on your Google Doc Drive. And he went,
No.
What did I get? Lady Ashley, can you show me how to work the Google?
Look, y'all. I learned how to read a spreadsheet during this time. I mean, that's a skill I can carry now to the rest of my life. It took me, 45 years to learn to read a spreadsheet. I know how to use the Google spreadsheets.
yes, you go to Google Sheets.
You go to the Google Sheets.
Google Sheets. I shouldn't berate you because I just learned to use the drive too. Because otherwise, I hate when you say, "Where's this document?" Oh, it's in the drive.
Oh no, like you know where the drive,
I'm
everything
like,
in the
how
drive.
do you get to the drive?
It's kind of like the cloud. It's like this big mysterious
Then
thing.
you go to the drive. You find like me. You find your way to the drive in about 30 minutes, and then
Right.
okay,
Okay.
I'm in the drive.
Now
Well,
what?
I can't find the document.
No.
They're like, what do you mean you can't find the
Oh, I
document? It's
know.
right there. Then by that time, some words have come out that are not so nice because now I'm 30 minutes into trying to find the document in the Google Drive. And then it's like, oh no, it's in the shared documents. Well, by that time, I put down my phone. Say, can you just attach it to the email and send it to me?
Yes.
That's all.
Right.
Just attach it to an email and send it to me.
No.
It's in the drive.
No.
I hated that for the longest. It's in the drive. And they say it's so snotty too, like, it's in the drive. Because Kristen knows what I'm talking about. She didn't hear me out. Like, it's in the drive. I'm like, it would drive me crazy. It's in the drive. I can't find it in the drive. Where is it?
The drive.
In the drive. And they're like, oh, I didn't share that with you one moment. Now, when I send you this thing that says share document, you click on that and then you'll be able to look. And I'm like, look, I've lost interest.
I think
Can somebody help me?
Yeah, somebody help me. I think another thing that I learned was even with my age group, like how many people did not know what a telethon was.
Yes.
Like going to work and telling people, oh, we're doing a 24-hour telethon. What's that? And I'm going to let you know my age right now. Even at 31, I remember watching the Jerry Lewis telethon when I was younger. And I think just having kind of like this knowledge out there of, I don't want to say things that have like past or like traditions, but things that we can bring back that are useful, new ways, well, not new ways, reinvented ways of fundraising are absolutely amazing. So this is another platform that people may not have known about,
Right.
that you could just take it and run with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Telethon's
And
going to do
modernize it.
trivia.
Hey.
But trivia took over from, what did we do all before we did trivia?
What did we do for fundraising?
Jello shots.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is. Yeah, it's too bad we can't like do the trademarky thing, right? Because it's already trademarked. The
I'm
telethon.
sure Jerry Lewis already.
I'm sure,
Yes.
but this has been such a fun experience and
It
such
has been.
a community collaborative effort, and it's really amazing. And all these skill sets that all these humans that we know have. My gosh, amazing.
Why these? I see these
Look at
people on a
them.
weekly basis, and I didn't know. I'm
Who
like,
knew?
Who knew?
They're geniuses with the
Yes.
things.
So now that y'all have the skill set, we'll be asking you to do other things.
all kinds.
Yeah, all kind of things. Like, like I can make this double screen and put this and put a thing around the bottom of the screen and then
Right.
split screen and we can do a remote. I'm like, oh.
You put your logo on the side. We know your secret.
We know your secrets now, so no, you can never say that to us again. No.
Amazing.
Amazing. And then, people out there that, said they were producers on shows, they came in and they took over things and they said, all we got to do is hold these papers and talk. I'm like, well, what about this? And we got that covered. What about this? We got that covered.
I know.
All you got to do is talk.
Show up.
That's
Show up.
something that we are good at doing. We are good at talking.
Yes. And we're good at showing up. And what we need you to do, St. Louis, is show up with some cash.
That's right.
With some donations. Yes, because we need to get past within the next maybe hour and a half get up to that 8,000.
Yeah, let's get
Yes,
us.
we've been stuck at 7 long
We
enough.
have. We've been in a stall.
We've
and I
been
understand
installed.
it's a lull.
No, y'all were sleeping.
Saturday night.
While y'all were sleeping, I was here having a dance party with the people in the house.
Which you can watch all the tape of this because it was fun last night.
It was
It was fun.
Yes, when we went from 3
Oh.
till we had the sunrise yoga, but we don't get into that. But from 3 on,
Yep.
when we had the drag show and the dance party,
It was fun.
I was disappointed because the Go-Go Boys did not show up.
No,
But
no.
that's okay.
Yeah.
We made up for it. The tech crew and I, we danced around.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yes, and then, you know, when the DJ from JJ's was here, I danced with him.
Yes.
So, you know, it was a good
fun.
time. It was a, you know, people were sleeping and all they heard the beats and they woke up and we danced around. For
Yeah.
Yes. So we had a good time.
Yeah,
In the wee hours of the morning while y'all were sleeping, I was still entertaining people. You know?
Just rub it in.
Yeah.
Just rub
Putting
it in.
I was putting makeup on at midnight. Not like I'd never done that before, but you know, I thought, wow, this is taking me back to the Faces days.
Oh.
Yes, you
okay,
know, Colin, you know what I'm
Faces.
talking about.
Pull Colin in.
Oh, but you know the face. I'm probably y'all like
I know the Faces.
I remember the commercials on the radio.
Oh, okay.
You were probably
all
too
right.
young to ever go to Faces. but-
Faces on 4th Street.
Faces on
Oh,
Faces on
yes.
4th Street. Yes.
Gotta
There we
give me
go.
some props
All right,
there.
I was in the back putting on makeup about midnight. I went, ooh, this is eerily too familiar. I came out here and started doing a little hosting at 1:30. It was just like old times. But it was good. I thought, oh my God, I made it to now 6 o'clock. So, you know, sun's coming up. About time to go home. That's not a good Saturday night here, though. It's TL. Oh, we're getting a
Okay.
Oh.
So the exciting news.
exciting news. 5 minutes.
We are
Ooh.
having a special remote guest. Come on.
No, this I'm laughing because before the segment started, we all said there's no way we can talk for an hour, and we have now
Here
talked
we are.
for an hour. What does that
Yeah.
say about us?
We're yappy.
Gabby, Gabby, Gabby.
Yappy, yappy. It's a coffee.
It's the yes.
It's
The
tar.
coffee.
Cheers.
It's tar.
Transam.
So, a human, Mara Kiesling, is
Yes.
going to be calling in. We're
Yes.
going to be talking to the one and only Mara Kiesling. Thank you. It's like, you know, fanboy moment, really, because of the fantastic work that she does with the NCT. I'm excited to talk. We could maybe do a group talk, huh? Tell me.
Don't queen out.
Don't queen out.
Don't queen out?
Yes.
Oh.
Like, forget all the questions.
I'm calm. I'm
Okay,
calm.
calm.
Oh, yeah.
Breathe through it.
I'm cool.
Breathe through it. Maybe Dan can show you some yoga
Yeah.
breathing
yeah,
exercises.
Dan's over here. I think I saw him live.
Oh, you leave. Okay.
In through
I
your
can-
nose and out through your mouth.
and assume the
Yeah.
turtle position and the mighty dog
The
pose.
sun's coming up. Isn't that a thing?
Yes.
I hear music. You hear music?
It's time for
It's
somebody
like
to
the
wake
ice
up.
cream truck.
I was like, is the Frosty Man outside?
Right,
I'm
that's
at
what
the
it sounds
throat.
It's a
like.
little bit too cold
I'm
for
like,
that.
well, you know
No.
what? Well, you know when the ice cream man's coming out in the cold, you know what that means.
No,
What does that mean?
can't talk about it.
Okay.
He's not really selling ice cream.
Oh.
Oh, is there a microphone we can stick on there?
Sorry for doing this kind of just live on the fly.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Yes! It's Mara. Thanks for joining us, Mara. We can't.
I am so excited to join you. I can't hear you really well, but I'm excited to be here.
Go pull your chair up and just talk to her right there on the phone.
Where does
Maybe
the
if
sound
we
go in?
project, is that a little bit better?
That whoever just talks now, yeah, that was a lot better.
Okay, so we'll just project.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us this morning, Mara.
So honored to.
We've appreciated your support from early on.
Oh, I'm a big M-Tug fan.
Well, we're excited for you to be on our telethon, our first annual in our 5th year, and we are pleased that you're here with us. And we're just kind of having our coffee talk, talking about current events and talking about some of the work that we've done over the past year, and just sort of being in a celebratory mood.
I was just watching for a little while. I know, and I was struggling with my technology while you guys were talking about struggling with technology, so I was there with you.
Yes, this whole telethon has been a really fantastic experiment. I think we've done a really good job, and we can't see you, but we can certainly hear you, and we appreciate your voice.
Oh, good. You know, I was thinking while you were bringing me up, there's a joke in my office. How do you know when Mara has used your computer?
How
There's
do you
white out on
know?
the screen.
Oh, there you go. So what do we
So
have?
thank you for having me. How's the telethon going?
It's going really well right now. How much money have we reached? Close to our $10,000 goal?
We're at a little over $7,000. So we're 3/4 of the way there.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And why don't I jump in with $100?
Hey! Woo, 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 woo. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I think the work you guys are doing is so important. And I love St. Louis.
Well, we appreciate you, and we love it that you've participated in our trans spectrum conferences. We've seen you at all the Creating Changes, and we appreciate the work that you all do. What is coming up? What is NCT up to? What can you talk to us about?
Well, I don't like the president.
Who
Let's
does?
have a cheers to that, right? Can we do that?
We cheers to not liking the president.
The president isn't all that's going on. We as trans people are moving so fast, and even with this president, we're still moving in the right direction, a little slower than we were before. But we're doing everything we can here in Washington. I guess the things I want to tell you about are, number one, hey, can you guys hear me better now? I put in earpiece.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's amazing.
Oh, great. So one thing I want to tell you about is a project we have that I hope can be of some use to you guys. We have on our staff a community storytelling advocate who helps people get their stories out, helps people think about what part of their story, how to tell the different parts and how to do op-eds in the newspaper or letters to the editor or how to get on local news shows. And she's been working with people all over the country, and we'd love to have her support anything you guys would want to do. And part of her team also includes a person in Missouri, now over on the other side of Missouri in KC, but we have 2 parent organizers on staff now, including one in Kansas City, Debbie Jackson, who some of you probably know.
Oh, yeah.
Debbie's the parent of a trans kid, and Debbie works with parents on their advocacy and their storytelling to make them as powerful as possible. And anything you guys could use like that, we want to be there to support you.
I would say that's great. Stories are definitely something that we need to use to pass on our history so it's not forgotten. So I think any resource like that would be absolutely, absolutely needed and amazing. So thank you for offering that.
Oh, absolutely. I think the policy work that we do is really important. That's why we do it. But I think the most important work any of us are doing as trans people or as allies of trans people is educating our families and the people we go to worship with and the people at school. And that's all about telling our own stories.
For sure. Part of when we do our 101s in the biggest part of that is the personal narrative, and that's where we win, I guess, people's hearts and minds, and people get to know us, and that's when people sort of open up and ask the good questions, and I think that they really get a better understanding of who we are as human beings. And yeah, totally 100% agree that storytelling is the way that we're going to move our liberation forward, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the other thing going on at MCT that I'll share with you is that we're almost 15 years old. On January 6th, will be 15 years old.
Oh,
And
happy early
during that time,
birthday.
we've always been what's called a 501c3 organization, which is an educational organization. Well, this October, we launched a 501c4 political organization.
Wow.
So we can finally say things like, don't vote for this president, or, and I don't want to get, I know you guys are a C3, so I don't want to get all political on your show, but we can now get political at NCPE and support trans candidates, support candidates that are supportive of trans people, and work against candidates that aren't.
That's amazing. That's great. So now we can follow your work in that capacity as well and educate ourselves in that realm. That's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we're having the
You know, you guys, I don't think you currently have any public officials who are trans in Missouri, do you?
no, we
No.
do not.
No.
But we certainly know
Yeah,
a
there
few
was,
humans should be.
I'm sorry?
We certainly know a few humans in our community that should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, Jessica Orsini used to be a city council person in Centralia,
Yeah.
but I don't think she is anymore.
No, we don't have any right now.
No, we don't have, we don't
No.
even have, we don't even have people that think about running for office.
No.
Maybe that's something we need to work on, is how to train and nurture and get somebody ready to run for office.
Sure.
Because, you know, a trans representative in the Missouri Senate or the House, we got to get somebody trans to, or GNC or intersex to Jeff City.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, we have some wonderful allies, but we just need that person, that catalyst that could have put a voice to the community
Yeah.
and get it out there. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, yesterday I was at a conference for the Victory Fund. The Victory Fund is an organization that helps LGBT people get elected.
Yeah.
And I was with Andrea Jenkins and Philippe Cunningham, the two
Yes.
new city council
Yes,
people in
yes.
Minneapolis, and Lisa Middleton, who's a city council person in Palm Springs, and Tyler Titus, who's this young trans guy who won election to a school board in Pennsylvania. And it's really remarkable. You know, Philippe and Tyler are the first two trans men we know of in the whole United States who have been elected to office.
Wow.
And you know, Philippe and Andrea in Minneapolis are the first two trans people elected to really big city councils. And it really shows the amazing progress we're making. And at the end of there was a panel discussion, and at the end of it, all the trans people in the audience were asked to come up to get a picture on the stage all together. And there were like 30 of us. And
Wow.
it was, you know, it was 5 or 6 elected officials, which is amazing. But there were also another 15 or 20 people who had gone through candidate training and were going to run for office this coming year. And so this coming year could be a much bigger year than this past November.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
Certainly the undercurrent, I think, of our telethon has been that it is an amazing time to be a transgender, gender non-binary, and intersex person. It's also brutal, but the amazingness is what we've really been focusing on, and just the liberation that is we're experiencing all around us. It's exciting. It's
Yeah.
It's daunting and exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that. I think even though there's all sorts of horrible things happening and scary things happening and personal tragedies that are absolutely still happening, it's still important for us to remember that, you know, while we may feel like we're going through a storm right now, we are the storm. We're changing, we're the powerful force that's coming up over the horizon and changing everything.
Yeah, right on. It's true. Taking up space unapologetically.
Yeah.
I think that that's what we are doing
Yes.
as a group of humans. And like
Yeah.
definitely getting more of our folks into office and into positions of power, and, you know, expanding transgender leadership, whether it's on a small scale, like getting more of our folks on boards, to a larger scale, which is elected office, and that's definitely like what MTUG is doing on a local scale is trying to engage and empower transgender leadership, and it's exciting.
Absolutely. That's what I've always loved about MTUG.
Yeah. Anybody have any other questions for Mara? No.
So Mara, if you had any advice for someone who maybe wanted to follow in your footsteps and work on accomplishing some of the amazing things that you have done, what would that be? What would be a good start for someone who would be interested in that?
Don't read the comments.
Wise words.
No, I said that kind of glibly, but here's the truth. I mean, this is important to understand. If you don't want to be attacked, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. But if you're going to step up, you just are going to be attacked by somebody, and that's just part of it. And try to stay strong. But really, I guess the real advice I would give is figure out what your passion is. If your passion's trans rights, that's amazing, and that's great. Do that. But even if you're a trans person, if your passion's something else, do that. The best piano players are the ones who have to play the piano. They don't want to play the piano. They have to play the piano. And the best singers are the ones who just have songs in their hearts and they got to get them out. And so if you're doing activism of any kind, if you mean it, you're going to do a lot better at it. And you're going to help a lot more people. So that's number one. And number two is find out what your superpower is.
Yeah.
If your superpower is public speaking, that's great. But if your superpower is accounting, go help some organization with their accounting. You don't have to be a public speaker. I actually have one superpower, which is I can see people who are wearing camouflage.
That was my next question for you. What was your superpower?
No, well, I'll tell you what, I've had to think about this and be really honest with myself. And my superpower, honestly, is that I'm funny. And it's kind of hard to say I'm funny, but the truth is I use humor all the time to disarm people, to make people feel better. And I'm proud that I can do that. And I have to be aware of that, and I have to be willing to own it, or it ain't a superpower.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's lovely. Well, we certainly appreciate your superpower, your humor, your wisdom, Mara, your support, and your leadership. As an organization, we appreciate that, and I'm going to speak for myself as a transgender human. I appreciate that about you. Certainly your leadership and your wisdom and your humor.
That's very kind. Thank you.
Thank you. And we really appreciate your time this morning and giving the love to the Trans Telethon.
Yes.
Yes. The only thing that would have been better was to see your face, but we'll have to Google your image when we put this back out onto the... Oh, it's on there, so we can't see the screen. So, right on.
Thank you. And by the way, I'm supposed to say hello to you guys. I have, staying with me this weekend, I have Mason Davis. I don't know if you guys know
Oh, I
Mason
love
from
Mason.
Missouri.
Yes.
Oh,
I know
yes.
Mason, yes.
Hello, Mason.
Hi, Mason.
Hi, Mason.
Pardon me?
Hi, Mason.
Well, I don't know if he's probably watching in another room, but Mason grew up in Missouri, and he ran the Transgender Law Center for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And now runs an LGBT group called Freedom for All Americans.
Right on. Yeah. Right on.
Well, I know I want to just say thank you so much for coming in and talking with us today. It has been most definitely a learning experience, and it's been great hearing from you. And I just wanted to say thank you and just say keep on doing the work that you do. It's been amazing for the community, and we just truly, truly appreciate you.
Oh, that's very kind, and it is so mutual. I'm so thankful, and everybody who's watching, give money.
Yes.
Yeah, let's get to that 10,000.
Yes.
And beyond maybe
Yeah.
today, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time and your energy, and hopefully we'll see you at Creating Change this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's actually 2 blocks from my house.
Oh, wow.
My apartment, actually. It's not really a house, but you know what I mean. My home.
Right on.
Okay, well, you guys be well. Let me know if I can help.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
See y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh,
awesome.
yay.
That was great.
That feels so good. Yeah. Yeah, I think that when when we were baby MTUG, just 5 years ago, and went up to Mara, and as gracious as she was on this call was how she was when she first met us face to face, and has always been just there to support us and to help us be connected to the national movement, and just really appreciate that, appreciate her role in our development and I just in our movement. So, cheers, Mara.
Mara.
Cheers, coffee. Cheers, Red Bull.
I got one little drop left in here. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, this is an empty cup.
All right. All right, folks, what else do we have going on in this 7 o'clock hour? Because I haven't looked at a script in a minute.
7 o'clock hour, it's Lady Ashley, I think.
Lady Ashley, let me see.
Our
Somebody get us the,
our script is over on the table over there, our binder. No, on the behind
There's
the
one
page
there,
over
too.
there.
There's
Is there one over
both.
there too? I don't know.
well, we could take a
Sunrise
moment
at
and
the
talk about,
How to donate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how to donate.
Yes, how to
because
donate.
It's 7:20 something.
It's 7:18.
18?
So that
Okay. Oh,
Excuse
so
me.
18, yeah.
we have stlouismetrotrans.com. Click donate now, or you can call 314-287-5383. We'll take your pledge either by text or by voice, or go to facebook.com, Metro Trans Umbrella Group, click donate. So we need to get those donations rolling back up in here. We were on a roll, and then the nighttime came. Y'all went to sleep, but I stayed up. Some of y'all went to sleep,
Hey,
but
I
I
just
stayed
I
up.
just sat on the couch in a very
Yeah.
relaxed
In a
position.
very relaxed position, yes. Very
With
relaxed
a
position.
pillow over your face.
For a few minutes.
With your eyes closed.
Okay.
But no,
Maybe.
what can we say? We need those donations rolling.
Rolling.
Rolling on the telethon.
Hey, rolling. Rolling. Rolling on the telethon.
Thank you.
That's all we can sing. We don't want to pay no
Okay,
royalties.
sorry.
Nope. Okay.
Oh, that's all we can sing.
That's all we can sing.
Okay.
Right. Because we don't.
And,
And
okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Mm.
So what's
Yes.
on our schedule for the 7 o'clock hour? Okay,
Oh, okay.
but that's not until a little bit later, right?
Well, that's the next thing. that's
The
up
next
on the list.
thing.
Otherwise, it's just y'all chatting.
Do we have the
Yeah,
crafty
she's
human?
here.
Crafty human, okay.
The crafty humans are here. Hey,
Okay.
crafty human.
So this is what we're gonna do. We're going to move on over to this other stage while the crafty
Sure.
human gets set up.
Sure, by the crafty humans.
And we'll talk a little bit about like what the money's gonna go towards.
Yes.
We're gonna do the spiel.
we're gonna do the spiel.
All right,
The
so
spiel.
thank you
Thank you very much.
Thank
It's nice
you
talking
all.
with
for
you.
being
Yeah.
our guest coffee talk human.
Thanks for
Yeah, it's
joining
been
us for
lovely.
Coffee Talk.
Yes,
Yeah.
and to get to know the work of Karen's house, and
Yes.
we just thank you.
I see Coffee Talk becoming like a weekly thing.
Well, we got all this stuff.
We got all
Yeah.
the
We
stuff.
got these
We got the
skills.
technicians.
We're
They
gonna
ain't doing
be
nothing.
The YouTubes people, and we're gonna have like a bazillion people and make the money.
Yes, because you sell ads on the YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. Let me tell you how you make money.
Okay, all right. That little lyric Luke Johnson knows all about the YouTube 100,000 and how to make money on that.
It's that lovely child still sleeping.
Oh my God.
We're
Are
gonna,
they
we're gonna let
sleeping?
that lovely child sleep as
Yes.
long.
No, sleeping.
What you say?
Tried to bring them with me when I got up, but they were ready to sleep in a little.
Okay.
That's good. We don't want a crabby.
No, they had a full day. They had a full day.
All right, let's mosey so these
Let's
folks can
mosey.
mosey. Thank
Okay.
you. We're
Thank
going
you.
over to the other.